Today we're talking about something that's equally fascinating and depressing at the same time. We will be talking about car brands that are circling the drain now. Before you flood the comments defending your favorite manufacturer, just remember, I'm not rooting for this. I'm just the messenger. And trust me, some of these hurt me too. Let's start with Maserati, the Italian brand that's been coasting on vibes since approximately 1957. Look, Maserati makes beautiful cars. The problem? They're basically really expensive Chryslers wearing designer sunglasses. When your luxury vehicle shares parts with a Dodge Charger, you're not fooling anyone except people who pronounce it Maserati at country clubs. The brand has been hemorrhaging money faster than their cars leak oil, which is saying something. Stellantis, their parent company, keeps throwing money at them like a concerned parent funding their adult child's 20th business idea. But here's the thing. The luxury car market is more competitive than ever, and Maserati is bringing a butter knife to a tank fight. Their sales numbers look like my dating life in high school. Disappointing and getting progressively worse. Next comes Mitsubishi. Mitsubishi is like that friend from high school who peaked in 11th grade and never got over it. Remember the Eclipse, the Lancer Evolution, the 3000 GT? Yeah, those were sick. Now they make the Mirage, a car so aggressively mediocre that rental companies use it as punishment. The brand has basically become the automotive equivalent of white bread. Technically a food, technically transportation, but nobody's getting excited about it. Their current lineup is about as inspiring as a DMV waiting room, and their sales in major markets have dropped harder than my GPA in calculus. At this point, Mitsubishi is basically being kept alive by generous financing terms and people who accidentally wander into dealerships thinking they sell air conditioners. Next comes the Alfa Romeo, the brand that makes you choose between driving something gorgeous and actually arriving at your destination. Alfa has been returning to the American market more times than I've returned to the gym after New Year's. They show up with beautiful vehicles, everyone gets excited, and then approximately 17 things break on the test drive. The reliability ratings for Alfa Romeo are so bad, they make British cars look dependable. Their only current SUV in the US market is the Tonale, which sounds like a fancy Italian dessert, but drives like regret. Sales are in the toilet, brand recognition among younger buyers is non-existent, and the only people still loyal to Alfa Romeo are masochists with excellent mechanics on speed dial. The next one stings because Chrysler is basically American automotive royalty, except the kingdom is on fire and everyone's already fled to Honda. The current Chrysler lineup consists of exactly one vehicle, the Pacifica minivan. That's it. That's the tweet. They've gone from a full automotive brand to basically being a very specific grocery-getting service. Stellantis has promised electric vehicles and exciting new models, but we've heard this song before. It's like when your friend says they're definitely coming out tonight, and then texts at 8 p.m. saying they're already in pajamas. The Chrysler 300 got discontinued. The brand has 0 SUVs in the SUV-obsessed American market, and their average buyer age is probably remembers when gas was 30 cents. At this point, Chrysler isn't a car brand, it's a nostalgia project. Next in line is the Jaguar. Jaguar recently announced they're going all-electric and rebranding to attract wealthy younger buyers. Basically, they're panicking. The brand that once represented British luxury and performance has spent the last decade making cars that depreciate faster than cryptocurrency during a Twitter meltdown. Their reliability issues are legendary. There's an old saying, "You don't own a Jaguar, you just maintain it between breakdowns." The F-Type was gorgeous, but couldn't compete with Porsche. The XE and XF sedans got absolutely demolished by German competition. And their SUVs, the E-Pace and F-Pace, are fine, I guess, if you enjoy watching your money evaporate. Now, they're betting everything on electric vehicles in a market dominated by Tesla, with serious competition from BMW, Mercedes, Audi, and even Hyundai. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off. Spoiler alert, it probably won't. Next on the chopping blocks is Infiniti. Infiniti is what happens when a brand forgets why it exists. Launched as Nissan's luxury division to compete with Lexus and Acura, Infiniti spent its first decade building genuinely interesting cars. Then they decided to coast on badge engineering and alphabet soup naming conventions. Quick quiz. What's the difference between the QX50, QX55, QX60, and QX80? If you answered correctly, congratulations. You're literally the only person who knows. Their cars are fine, competent even, but they offer absolutely nothing compelling compared to competitors. They're the automotive equivalent of beige carpeting, technically functional, completely forgettable. Sales have been declining for years. They pulled out of Western Europe entirely, and most people under 30 have no idea Infiniti even exists. They're basically a ghost brand already, just waiting for Nissan to officially pull the plug and redirect those resources to literally anything else. Now comes the Acura. Honda's luxury brand is experiencing a slow, painful decline into irrelevance, and it's heartbreaking because they used to be good. The original NSX was legendary. The Integra Type R was a driver's dream. Early TLs and MDXS were genuinely excellent vehicles. Now, Acura makes premium Hondas with different grills. Their current lineup is about as exciting as watching paint dry in real time. The new Integra is literally just a tarted-up Honda Civic that costs way more money. The MDX is fine, but nobody's cross-shopping it against a Lexus RX and choosing the Acura. The brand has no identity, no prestige, and no compelling reason to exist beyond giving Honda dealers something more expensive to sell. They've tried and failed multiple times to move up market, and at this point, they're just treading water until Honda decides whether to kill them off or absorb them back into the main brand. Either way, Acura's days as an independent entity are numbered. This one is big. Buick is the brand that refuses to die despite having no apparent reason to exist in America. Their average customer age remembers the Kennedy assassination, and their current strategy seems to be make slightly nicer Chevrolets and hope nobody notices. Here's the wild part. Buick is huge in China, like genuinely successful. In America, they're deader than disco. GM keeps them around purely for the Chinese market, but the American division is basically a zombie brand, technically alive, but showing no real signs of consciousness. Their lineup consists entirely of SUVs and crossovers that look like they were designed by committee in a beige conference room. The Encore, Envision, and Enclave are vehicles that exist. That's the nicest thing I can say. Nobody under 60 is buying Buicks, and when that generation is gone, so is Buick's entire American customer base. It's not if, it's when. Now comes the Lincoln. Lincoln is Ford's luxury brand that keeps trying to be relevant and keeps failing spectacularly. They've rebranded more times than a failing YouTuber, and nothing sticks. Remember when Matthew McConaughey did those weird commercials? That's basically been Lincoln's high point in the last decade. Their vehicles are fine, legitimately decent even, but they're trying to compete with Cadillac, which is itself struggling. The Aviator is a solid SUV, but nobody's choosing it over a BMW X5. The Nautilus exists, I guess. The Navigator is actually pretty great. But that's about where the good news ends. The fundamental problem is that luxury buyers don't think Lincoln when they think premium vehicles. They think German, maybe Japanese, possibly Korean these days. Lincoln has no heritage that resonates with modern buyers, no technological edge, and no real reason to exist beyond Ford's corporate pride. Give it another decade, maybe less. Now, here it is, the one that's going to make people mad. Dodge. Now, before you start typing angry comments, hear me out. Dodge, as we know it, the brand of Hellcats, demons, and ridiculous horsepower, is already dead. They killed the Charger and Challenger, their only really popular vehicles, and replaced them with electric cars. Look, I'm not anti-EV, but Dodge's entire brand identity was built on rumbling V8s, doing burnouts in parking lots, and making insurance companies nervous. Their customer base is not exactly begging for electric vehicles. The new electric Charger might be quick, but it's about as Dodge as a kombucha-flavored protein shake. Stellantis is clearly planning to either kill Dodge entirely or merge it with Ram. The Durango is old enough to vote. The Hornet is a rebadged Alfa Romeo that nobody wants, and everything else is gone. The Dodge we knew and loved, the irresponsible, wonderful, slightly unhinged muscle car brand, is finished. What replaces it might wear the Dodge badge, but it won't be Dodge.